What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip, and welcome back to another video. So, finally, let's talk about Project Red. So, this is, of course, Toei's new tokusatsu franchise that will begin next year in 2026 after the end of Go Juger. So, yes, Super Sentai is indeed going to be replaced with another franchise, a different type of hero. And as of now, we already know that the first entry in this new franchise is called Gavan Infinity. Now, honestly, I have been thinking about making a video like this way back, like in the times of maybe Juoger or uh, Zenkaiser, because there were already rumors about Super Sentai ending its course during those times already. However, the show did persist until today, so they did let the show continue on for at least until they have actually reached the 50th anniversary, and I think it's you know a perfect point to not really end Super Sentai. I hope. I'm hoping that this is not a complete stop, but you know, let it take a break and have another franchise you know take its place. But during those times, like 5 maybe 10 years ago, so I was already thinking actually, like what could possibly replace Super Sentai, you know, and if there's anything that's gonna replace it, if it does in the first place, I have thought that maybe the Metal Hero series could return. So I guess it was no surprise to me anyway that something like Gavan Infinity would replace Super Sentai. However, given that this new franchise, Project Red, so it's not the Metal Hero series. Now, I think that Toei is not gonna limit themselves to the Metal Heroes. It just so happens that their very first entry in this brand new franchise is kind of like a complete revival of Space Sheriff Gavin, albeit the main character is going to be Red. Now we do have a Red Space Sheriff in the form of Sherivan, but considering that the name of the franchise is Project Red, you know, again, it's not necessary that they're gonna follow Gavin completely, and I'm thinking that Project Red is going to have like different characters or different superheroes that would take the color red for their main character. I guess some sort of homage to Super Sentai, keeping the tradition of like a red focus character or a red wearing main character, if you will. So yep, we are going to get a red Gavin in this new franchise, and actually, we've already seen leaked photos of the actual suit. While it does have like its elements of Metal Hero in it, I think it's an okay design. It does remind me, however, if you're a Filipino like me, way back in 2007. So, to those who are non Filipinos, you may not have heard of this tokusatsu show, but there was in the Philippines a show called Space Sheriff Zaido. And it kind of makes me cringe to say this myself, but in Tagalog, it's called Zaido Pulis Pangkalawakan. That show was a travesty, I tell you guys. And they had like multiple colored space sheriffs in that show. Like at least the there were three colored Zydos there. Like Zydo Blue was actually the main character, and then there was Zydo Red, who I'm kind of referring to in this part of the video, and there was Zydo Green. But oh, those cheap costumes, the overly cheesy drama that is to way focus on romance than the actual, space sheriff aspect. So it was designed, by the way, to be a spin-off of Shider. It wasn't really produced, in cooperation with Toei. They just got permission from Toei to make a spin-off, but there was zero support from Toei after that. However, years later, Toei would actually cooperate with the TV station GMA7, which again, so they were the ones who made the Zydo series, and later on, Toei would actually cooperate with GMA7 to make the Voltus 5 Legacy live action that became so famous that it was imported back to Japan to be dubbed in Japanese to be shown to a Japanese audience. We've come a long way though. So I guess Zydo had to walk so that Voltus 5 Legacy could fly. Now back to the Project Red that I was talking about here. Anyways, so yeah, while we are getting a Metal Hero as as our first entry in Project Red, again, it's not the Metal Hero series. So it's not the Metal Hero franchise that's coming back, but we are getting a Metal Hero for the first entry of Project Red. I know I've been looping this a few times already. Sorry about that. But considering the potential of Project Red that I have mentioned earlier, like they could reintroduce or like remake other, Toei tokusatsu shows, but have the main character be recolored into red. Now, I'll give you a really good example. So, this year, 2025, so a Toei tokusatsu called Choko Senshi Changerion, or Shanzerion as they would pronounce it, is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Shanzerion, by the way, stars Takashi Hagino, who would later play as Kamen Rider, um, how do you say, Oja in Kamen Rider Ryuki. One of the worst Kamen Rider villains, or like the most despicable, I would say, in terms of Kamen Rider villains. But yeah, he was already a Toei Tokusatsu actor before, Kamen Rider Ryuki. But it's interesting because right now on YouTube, so to celebrate again, Changerion's 30th anniversary, they re-released the first episode, or they're streaming the first episode. I hope it's still available right now. But yeah, in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Changerion and their release of the Blu-ray and DVD collection, so they're posting the very first episode of Changerion. Now, let's take Changerion for example, and like take it into the Project Red. So we can see a Changerion like superhero, albeit colored red, again, to keep it in theme with the franchise's name. Although, I guess I haven't mentioned it yet, but I guess I should mention it now. So, Project Red, so the R.E.D. stands for Record of Extraordinary Dimensions. So, again, it is possible for Toei to do other superheroes, just recolor them in red. So again, we do have a metal hero, uh, albeit changing from silver to red, and then we are again, there is a potential for Toei to bring in or remake other, other heroes in their lineup and just change the color to red. Again, like a red Changerion, for example. Now, another thing that Toei has done, although this is an experimental project for them, I guess. So in this is only a Toei Tokusatsu fan club exclusive, but Toei actually has dabbled in like the kaiju, genre of tokusatsu. So they have their own like Godzilla-like project, if you will. So maybe we could see a future project for or a future entry in the Project Red franchise that is actually like a red kaiju or something. Who knows? They might also go like the Tsuburaya route and bring in or make their own giant hero, albeit colored red, of course. I'm just hoping that it's different enough that Tsuburaya won't sue Toei for copying Ultraman. I mean, we did have an Ultraman versus Kamen Rider, special thing. Yeah, it exists. But that's just a crazy idea. But who knows? Maybe. And recently, to those who might not know, so the Tokushinsha Film Company had recently partnered with Toei to create the Garo Taiga movie. So, while the Garo franchise isn't really, it's not made by Toei at all. Again, it is produced by the Tokushinsha Film Company, but in cooperating with Toei for the release of Garo Taiga, you know, maybe Toei could borrow some ideas from Garo creator, uh, you know, uh, Keita Amemiya, and then make some sort of like red Makai Knight like being. And considering like Keita Amemiya, so he has been a director for at least a couple of actually really iconic Toei Tokusatsu projects, namely Chojin Sentai Jetman. Yes, he was a director for Chojin Sentai Jetman, and he actually designed a lot of the villains, like the Vyram. So that's one thing. And he was also involved with Kamen Rider Z.O as a director and like monster costume designer. So again, they could borrow Keita Amemiya to work on Project Red, and he could give us like you know uh maybe a Makai Knight, or something. And considering one of Keita Amemiya's projects, so uh, it's a show called Shogeki Go Raigan. So this is like a standalone show, but obviously it does look very much like Garo. And if you look at it, it is a some sort of parody to Super Sentai. And like later on in the series, like the heroes have like Sentai like suits, and the main character is red themed. So who knows? Again, Keita Amemiya could do something like that for Project Red. And yeah, the possibilities are endless in this situation. So Toei could actually bring something like I don't know, like Poitrine. So Poitrine was tokusatsu that existed kind of like in the 70s, 80s, I think, which featured, like a magical girl. Uh so you might remember Poitrine in Kamen Rider Wizard. Like it's a team up movie, I guess. It's not exactly the Kamen Rider Wizard movie. I don't remember which team up it was. Maybe Superhero Tyson. I don't know. But yeah. So what Mass Magician Quatrine is, again like a magical girl tokusatsu. Albeit the costume for Quatrine is white with a red ribbon on the chest for accent. So maybe this time they could make a red Poitrine with a white ribbon for an accent color. So that possibility is on the table, I tell ya. So that I think Project Red and its potential for you know creating various kinds of heroes, albeit in the color red. It's something that we can look forward to. Like, what kind of theme are they going to do next year? Are they going to do another metal hero? Are they going to make a completely different hero? There's so many things that can happen. Unlike Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, for example, you know, you get that it's going to be part of that franchise. You're just gonna guess like what kind of theme is the next Sentai going to be next year. Is it another dinosaur team? Is it another car team? You know, is it a completely different concept altogether? Like, honestly, one reason that I think Super Sentai does have to like take a break, I would say, not necessarily end, is that it is hard to come up with original ideas that you know don't necessarily have to come from like recycled themes. Now tell me, guys, how many dinosaur themed shows have you seen, or how many dinosaur themed sentais have been there? Actually, there are four technically. So you have Jew Ranger, Aba Ranger, Kyoryuger, and New Soldier. How many car teams have been there? Like Turbo Ranger, Car Ranger, if you want to include like Bokenger, they're kind of a vehicle themed Sentai. If you want to include things like Kira Major, Go Wanger, I guess I forgot the order. And we had Boom Boom. We had six teams that have cars and or vehicles, in their designs. And how many ninja teams are there? Three at the very least. So yeah, we can see like how many aspects, how many team concepts have been used. Of course, like Bandai, the designers at Plex and Bandai have been like redesigning the costumes, just to make it new and or original. But at some point, yeah, you're gonna run out of completely original ideas, and you're gonna have to resort to like recycling again. So yeah, that's you know one reason that I think Super Sentai really deserves to take a break for now. And again, Project Red, anything can happen in my opinion. Yeah. So I want to go back to Gavan Infinity a little bit. So an interesting story about Gavan Infinity, or something interesting that I've seen. So on X, Yuma Ishigaki, who plays Geki Jumonji, aka Gavan Type G, the new generation Gavan, if you will. So he was shocked when he saw that the very first entry in the Project Red franchise is Gavan. So honestly, like I've been looking forward to a Gavan TV show where he would, Yuma Ishigaki would be the main character. So we do see like a continuation of, his story as Gavan. Yeah, sure, he appeared in I don't know, like Gavin versus Gavin Type G, Gavin Generation movie. We've seen him team up with the Go Kaijers. Uh, you know, we've seen him in Superhero Tyson. He's also come back to aid the, you know, uh, Q Rangers alongside Decored, of course. And we also have the Space Squad movies, which until now we haven't gotten. So maybe, in Gavin Infinity, so I've heard that they have already done the casting. So we are most likely going to get a brand new actor as the quote unquote new Gavin for this time around. But maybe at some point, Geki Jomonji will get make a guest appearance, and who knows, we can finally get a continuation to the Space Squad movie that we've been waiting for almost 10 years already. At this point, come on, Toei, do your job. The fans have been waiting for quite a long time. But yeah, so again, like I've said, so for Gavan Infinity, our main character, our quote unquote Gavan, is going to be actually a red version of Gavan, or at least there are mostly red aspects in it. But in one of the teaser videos released by Toei, so apparently there are going to be three space sheriffs in this show, a silver Gavan and a gold Gavan. And while the teaser is playing, so like the words "Who is the true hero" were flashing at some intervals in the teaser. So like we do know it is the red main character, obviously, but yeah, there could be some sort of rivalry between these three Gavins. So there were some people who say that maybe these silver and gold Gavins are actually power ups or alternate forms for this new Gavin, but I do think, given that teaser video introducing both of them, so I'm really expecting three space sheriffs in this show. So probably they could be the stand-ins for Sharivan and Scheider, or again, given that Gavan Infinity is, we could say like a total reboot from the ground up. So this could be a completely original story that just happens to have three space sheriffs. But yeah, I do see that they would have some sort of rivalry, but they would end up, working together and, saving the universe, I guess. So yeah, I am looking forward to what Project Red and Gavin Infinity could bring, because as someone who grew up in the 90s in the Philippines, well, for some reason, we never saw Sharavan. Uh, like I definitely remember watching Sky Ranger Gavin. So yes, that's what the title was in the Philippines was. So Space Sheriff Gavin, I believe it was dubbed in English, but it was with the Scheider that the male heroes kind of really became popular, and Scheider is the most popular male hero in the Philippines. By the way, again, it was so famous it was re-aired several times across different channels, and there was an attempt for a sequel spin-off. Well, I've mentioned earlier the Space Sheriff Zaido series, but uh, it just turned out really, really crappy, to be completely honest with you guys. So, but anyways, yeah, like I am looking forward to new things with Project Red and Gavin Infinity. And so, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. As always, please do leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.